Welcome to episode 13 of Connecting Clarkston. Katie and I are very excited to sit down and chat today with Jesica Spencer from Spencer Real Estate. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Yeah. All in your pink, which we're very excited to learn more about, because I know that's part of the whole branding, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We usually start off with, what is your connection to Clarkston, being that this is our whole thing. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I grew up in Hazel Park, which is about 30 minutes south of here. And when I was about 12 years old, my parents were told growing up that the best thing they could do is get their kids in Clarkston schools. And so they sold their house in Clarkston and Hazel Park to move us out here. And so my parents still live here in Clarkston, in the town they moved us to when I was 12. And my kids, we live in Clarkston. This is where we choose to raise our kids. And so it's the town that built me. It's the town that made me who I am, and so I love it very much here.
Awesome. When I just went to let her in the building, she ran into one of her teachers, and
she
was like, "Oh, who was it again?"
He was very sweet. He was my math teacher.
Okay.
And so I remember him being very kind. I had a really hard time learning. School was not easy for me. I had undiagnosed ADHD. And for me, ADHD wasn't hyperactivity. It was just kind of zoning out forward. Yep. So if I wasn't talking to my friends, I was just kind of like lost, sitting, daydreaming. And so he was really patient and kind with me. And so I was joking with him that I don't know much math except for my commission is times 0.0 a number, and then I
you can do that really fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't even need a calculator.
Yeah. What's his name so we can give him a little love?
I wish I could remember right now.
We'll figure it out.
If I wasn't on the hot seat, I would remember. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's really cool that you ran into him too.
Yeah.
And I mean, just a little shout out to teachers, because they don't just teach their subjects, right? They teach, they give you a little confidence and felt good, and you remembered that years later. Yeah. I love those stories.
Well, and that's consistent with everyone says people don't remember what you did or what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And as a child, so when I was about the age I was in his class, my mom was diagnosed with kidney disease. And so it's really hard to connect with your friends when they're all upset because they can't go to the movies and you're praying for a kidney for your mom.
Right.
And so it was a really difficult time. I wasn't sleeping well. I was beside myself. My aunt ended up giving my mom a kidney, and actually my brothers and I are going through the testing right now because that kidney that she got 20-something years ago isn't working anymore. And so my brothers or I will donate a kidney to her this time.
Wow.
And so it was a difficult season in my life. And it's hard to connect with friends when your life is so much different than theirs. It's like you kind of end up leveling up out of friendships because you just don't really relate when you have such a major problem going on. It's hard to connect with people. And so my teachers were really, really important to me during that season of my life, for sure.
I think your mom was just at Magic Bus, wasn't she?
She was.
The event you put on?
Yes.
Because I think you said something about her, and she was like fully dressed up.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cute.
It was adorable.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me, "Are you going to try to steal that lady's pink outfit?" I'm like, I could steal it if I tried. It's my mom.
So
but my parents they're so supportive of my business. It's like it's always me and my dad running around like crazy people, sweating, slinging free waters and all that.
I think I met your dad at the Easter egg hunt at Bay Court, because you do that every year, right?
Yeah,
because I know he was running around greeting
he's
people.
He's like giving out all the Easter eggs. He's the one in charge of making sure that we divvy up the eggs so we have enough for all 4 Easter egg hunts.
Okay.
And, it's they're such a blessing to me, and that's a big part of the reason why I live in Clarkston is because I need to be close to them because they're so helpful in my business. I couldn't have done all of this without them, for sure.
So when you left Clarkston High School, how did you get to real estate? How did that happen?
Yeah, so actually I didn't go into, so I graduated in 2000, I graduated in 2003, and I started at the county in 2005 as a judge's clerk. And so I ended up working there, and I thought I would stay there forever. And my husband was a police officer at the time, and he was working nights and weekends. And so the same time I got my real estate license, I also got my license to be a foster parent. Oh, wow. Because I thought, I got it, if I want to get my real estate license because I want something to do in the evenings that wasn't just like buying stuff on the Amazon, which was like kind of more of my hobby. I needed to find something to do with my time. And so I got my real estate license while working full-time as a judge's clerk, and then got my foster parenting license the same month. Wow. Because I thought, well, if I get kids before I get this real estate license, I'm never going to do it.
I'm not selling a single home.
Yeah, exactly right. So, so that's how I ended up getting into real estate. And then after a few years, my real estate career was taking off so much that it just didn't make sense to stay at the county. But when I started there when I was an intern at 17, right after I graduated from high school. And I thought I would stay there forever. I thought that was God's plan for my life. And I was married to a police officer, and we both had like government jobs, and it made perfect sense, and it was going to be great. And turns out that wasn't what God had planned for me, and so things changed. And
I did want to ask, one, how did you meet your husband, and how did he get the name Wing Wing?
Yeah. Okay. So I actually met my husband about maybe 3 years before we started dating. He was dating my roommate at the time. Okay. And I thought he was a big jerk. And I didn't like him at all.
That's how all love stories
start.
Yes.
And so, so, you know, I was kind of like forced to be his friend because he was dating my friend. And so we ended up, he kind of grew on me over time, and we had this like kind of almost law enforcement connection because I was a judge's clerk, and so I was working in the courtroom, and he was going through the police academy. And so after he graduated from the police academy, he had invited me to this party at his house. And so I came over, and it just wasn't my speed. I had kind of already, but I've been living on my own I moved out. I moved in with a friend of mine when I was like 17. So now I'm like 22 probably. So hanging out with like a bunch of police academy guys that are like crazy because they've been almost in like a boot camp for the past, however many months. So they're just kind of like crazy, and I'm like, So I drove there for like 45 minutes in the snow. It's only in Davisburg, but it took me forever. And I was there for probably like 5 minutes. My husband had a mustache, and so I was just like, yeah, okay, nice seeing you guys. Congratulations on graduating from the academy. See you later. So then a few weeks later, Wing Wing was not his name at the time, but called me and asked me if I wanted to meet everybody for drinks at this at what was then the Deer Lake Inn, which was like not what the Deer Lake Inn is now. It's kind of like the kind of place that you kind of want to, like, I don't want to offend if the people who owned it then were watching. I wouldn't say that I felt like I needed a tetanus shot to go in there. Yeah. But
probably.
So side story, we went to Spring Lake Inn this last weekend, and somebody came in, and it was one of the bartenders from Deer Lake Inn, who came over and was like, "Oh, Larry," but now she works at Spring Lake Inn, so you can reconnect. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so she's out there.
So I got there, and nobody else was there, and I was kind of like, where is everybody? He's like, oh, nobody else is coming. And so we had dinner together, and he turns out my friends were right. He had a crush on me. I didn't know that. And I basically was like, well, I'm not losing my friend over something temporary. So if you want to get married, that's fine. But I'm not going to lose my friend for something temporary. So he said, that's fine if you want to get married, if your dog wants to be, if we can have your dog in the wedding, then that's fine. And literally,
that was your first date?
That was our first date. We decided we were getting married, and that was
okay.
Wow.
That was it.
That's the best story we've ever had.
So yeah,
amazing.
that's how. So how he became Wing Wing was after we started dating. I mean it when I say it never occurred to me to like that we would ever. It was just he was my friend, and I never even thought about dating him, which I didn't. I just skipped right to being engaged to him. But we were like inseparable. Okay. So he didn't have a job. I'm sure my parents were really excited about that. But we, it was 2000. Gosh, we got married in 2010, so that would have been 2009 when nobody could find a job. Law enforcement jobs, there were none. Okay. So he had graduated from the police academy. So there was this like weird pressure on us to soak up every second together possible, because we knew once he gets hired somewhere, it's going to be nights, weekends, it's going to be, so we were just, I would literally run to my car after work because I just wanted to be with him every second that we could be together. And so one day, his mom came into the living room where we were sitting on the couch, like always, and she was like, can you two lovebirds find somewhere else to be instead of on my couch literally all the time? And so he looked at me and he said, oh, we're lovebirds. Come under my wing. And then that's where wing came from. Oh. So then instead of it being wing, it was wing wing. So.
Oh, that's cute. I like that
That's very
story.
cute.
Yeah. I have wondered for a long time.
That is the official story of how we really ended up together, and also how Wing Wing came about. And so statistically, I don't know how many people in real life know my husband.
Yeah.
But if I have, say, 5,000 followers on social media, I don't know what the number actually is.
Yeah.
But if that's true, then that means statistically more people know him by Wing Wing than his actual name. So he always says, if I knew that this was going to be my name for all the world to know me by, I would have objected on that day. It's like if I could go back in time and change one thing, I would have not allowed that to be my nickname.
Does anybody call him Officer Wing Wing? Is that what's happened?
He's now he's retired since, and so he's a stay-at-home dad, but he also works at our kids' school. He is the PE teacher for the school they go to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so now it's Professor Wing.
Professor Wing Wing. That's so
But
great.
Yes, I call him Officer Wing Wing.
Oh, that's so great. Is he involved? You said your parents are involved with your business. Is he also involved?
So he's involved. So he always says the only thing I do for the business is gave it the last name. But that's not true. It's definitely a family business. My kids work for the business. My parents help me with the business. It's definitely a family business. It's like my parents are helping me, with. I have some rental properties and they'll help me with that, or even just watching the kids so we can work on something. It's definitely a family business for sure. Yeah. And so my husband does some real estate photography for us and puts signs out and takes measurements and those kinds of things. So he would say he doesn't work for the company, but he definitely does.
You can't not.
Yeah, exactly right.
You're all in.
Yeah.
So speaking of the industry, there's so many ups and downs. Like, how do you ride those waves? Like, how does that all roundabout?
It's really important that you just are mindful of how you're spending your money. And so the good thing for me is that my business has never been, my money's never been spent on advertising. It's social media, it's friends, family, referral business. And so you've got to, in an industry that goes up and down all the time, you have to be really deliberate that you keep your expenses low even in the really good times, because pretty much my entire real estate career has been a seller's market. So if you're not getting listings, you're not going to have an easy go of it. Right. And so for me, it's important to really be mindful that even when money is coming in, you have to keep those expenses low, because you're just you never know. I always think, I've always thought this my whole career, like, oh, that was really nice that I closed on that house. That was fun while it lasted. Like, right. But you literally, you're starting back at zero every single day. We're in a pretty much a 60-day cycle. So the business, like, I'm going on a listing appointment after this. When I do, that won't close for 60 days from the day that I got that business. So it really, we have to be really mindful is that there's not an immediate reward for your money. So you just have to be planting those seeds all the time. And so a lot of my business comes from community events, like the Magic Bus concert, the Easter egg hunt. But really, it's being known in your community for what you do. Yeah.
And you do you do residential and commercial?
I do.
You do both.
Yep.
And then you have a staff. I know I walked in there and met some of your awesome people, and that obviously is an expense. But you need to do how has your business grown over the years?
Yeah. So this year alone, our company is growing exponentially, and a lot of that is because I have changed the way that I approach my business. And so I was really being very quiet about my values and what I think and how I feel. And I had done that for the first, 6 years of owning the business. And finally I decided, you know what? I'm just going to have to be who I am at the top of my lungs in every room I'm in for the rest of my life. Because what happens is when you figure out who you are, which I always knew who I was, I just wasn't honest with other people about it. Or maybe, I'm pretty predictable. I'm pretty open.
Yeah, I feel like your personality is one, like, you're not gonna not be you, but maybe I think in an attempt to please everybody and not like,
So what ends up happening is you're loud enough for the people who hate you for what you believe in to hate you, but you're too quiet for people who would support you for those values to support you. And so I just decided I'm not going to keep my mouth shut anymore because it's not working. I'm already loud enough that people who can't stand me because of who I am don't like me. And so it's like all of the con with none of the pro. And so around April of this year, I just decided I was just going to be more honest about who I am. And since that's happened, I've just seen exponential growth at our company. We went from pretty much having like 2 full-time agents to having 7, 8 of us in the office every single day, working full-time, side by side. And God just keeps leading people to our door that are a great fit for our company. And we're just growing like crazy. And a lot of that is, I think, being more honest about who I am. Yeah.
I think I've seen you doing some different, I don't know what I want to say, but like attending some different seminars. Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Did you meet Tony Robbins?
So I was in the front row.
Okay.
And so I often ask myself, and you maybe I'll get your opinion on this. What is it to meet someone? Because I think about that often. Like I want to be able to say I met Tony Robbins, but I really didn't. I was just in the front row, and he was like a foot from me. But it was like I feel like they have to at least hear your name for you to officially have met them.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, front row is still super.
Yeah.
impressive.
No, it was really cool. He was right in front of us, and that was super neat. And there's this guy named John MacArthur. No, it's John C. Maxwell. And I go to a lot of conferences, a lot of leadership conferences, and sometimes I speak at them and things like that. And so I was at this conference, and this author, and he's just an incredible leader. He asked a question about how long can I speak for, and I was joking and said, "You can talk all day." And so he and I ended up talking in a room full of like 2,000 people. So I definitely met Jennifer. Well, he kept calling me Jennifer accidentally. And so he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Jessica." And he said, "Jessica, you are pure joy." And the whole room was like, "Yeah, she is." It was so cool. And then he referenced me during his speech a few times and called me Jennifer. And I was like, whatever, I'll change my name. It's fine. And so then at the end, we went into another room and I was able to ask him a question. And he said, "Well, Jennifer," and the whole room was like, "Oh." And he kind of looked around like, what just happened? I said, "Well, I'm working on a legal name change, but until that goes through,
that's so
technically
funny.
It's still Jessica." And I thought he was gonna, I thought he was gonna keel over right there. He was laughing, and so he's someone that I really look up to. He's a Christian author and he's written a ton of books on leadership and things like that. And so that was one of my favorite business moments I've ever had. So.
Well, it sounds like you do, or we were talking earlier, business coaching as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So can you talk a little bit about what that is all
absolutely.
about?
So what I have learned is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, being an entrepreneur has the same challenges no matter what. So you're learning about leverage, you're learning about what tasks do I need to hand off, how do I keep running my business without while still growing it. And so I do business coaching for people who are growing their business. And so basically what I can do is kind of help people through. There's two ways to learn things. One is the hard way on your own, and one is to learn things from people who have already been there. Yep. And so anybody whose business is, newer than mine, I feel totally comfortable coaching them and helping them grow through those things that they're working on.
Is this individual coaching, or is it like, do you have group sessions? How does it work?
So I do. So I have also a co-working space that we haven't opened yet, that we're in the final stages of, here in the same building as Spencer Real Estate.
Oh, okay.
And so part of that will be a group coaching program as well. Mm-hmm. But it's really kind of an incubator for small businesses. Like from the time that they're not quite able to need their own brick and mortar, but their basement just isn't cutting it anymore. Mm-hmm. And then surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs is so important, because your struggles are unique. It's different to own a business. It's the first thing you think about when you open your eyes, and the last thing you think about when you're going to bed is like, as soon as I lay down, it's like all the things that I forgot to do today are, in my mind. And so helping people through that process is so rewarding to me. It's my favorite part of my job right now, for sure.
And when did you start doing that?
I would say people started paying me for this, like probably about 2 years ago. But my husband jokes that I've been giving business advice my whole life. And it's funny because my Wesley, my 8-year-old, is I feel like he has that same problem. Like he'll say things like business wise, and you're like, actually you're probably right, Wesley. That's pretty.
He looks like quite the little character. Like the things that you post about him, he's just got a spark.
He does. Yeah. He is something else. I had him 8 weeks early, and he was 3 pounds 8 ounces, I feel like he's been just like, he hasn't sat still since that moment, And so he's we have 3 amazing children. 2 were adopted through foster care. Mm-hmm. And then Wesley, we made the hard way. Yeah. And so we went from no children to 4 children in 364 days.
Oh, geez.
And so
are they siblings?
So our 2 kids that are adopted have the same mom and different dads. Okay. And then one of our children we had went back to their biological family around the time that I went into labor. Turns out it's very difficult on your body to give a baby you've had since he was born back to his family.
Oh, do you think that?
So that's why
I see what you're saying.
I ended up having preeclampsia and then something called HELP syndrome, which is basically where your blood pressure goes sky high and your organs start failing, and so it was so for one day we had all 4 kids in the house, and then the day after, so Wesley was born 8 weeks early, then he had 2 weeks in the hospital, and then the day he came home, the next day Keelan went back to his biological family.
Oh wow. It's a busy household.
It was a big, there was a lot of change in 1 year, for sure. So,
oh my gosh. Well, so you're talking about before about community. I'm sure your parents help with the kids too.
Oh, yes.
And like that's part of, we talk a lot about that when we have guests, especially about, focusing on Clarkston and why it's a very community focused place. And for a lot of people come back for family, but then a lot of the people we've talked to who are business owners talk a lot about the business community and how there's a lot of camaraderie too.
Yeah.
And, downtown and just in the township. Yeah. And have you been a part of any of the community events? I mean, I know you've been a part of some of the community events, but talk a little bit about
I think that being a small business owner can be really isolating. Really succeeding at a high level can be isolating in and of itself. And so it's so important to surround yourself with other people who understand what it's like to be in that situation. Yeah. It's not my job to run this business. It is woven into my DNA. It is who you are when you. It's a huge risk. My husband doesn't work outside the home other than being the PE teacher at the school that they need. The
professor.
Professor Wingling, obviously. But like that's a lot of pressure on a business to be in that place, and so you have to surround yourself with other people who understand that pressure. And I think especially in real estate, where everybody expects that they're going to be able to get a hold of you within 30 seconds, and they'll call somebody else if they can't. Nobody wants to go on vacation with no person who's reasonable wants to go on vacation with a realtor because you're literally in the pool on your phone, because no matter, and that's part of my coaching and training is to remove that part of your life, because that's what you end up doing because you think you have to, until somebody teaches you that you can't do that forever. Because I take Sundays off every single Sunday, and I spend that time with my church family and then my family. And it's so important because you can't have a Monday without having a Sunday. You can't go back to work Monday morning without having rested on Sunday. And so definitely the small business community is really important to me, and that's why this business network has been on my heart, because I really think that we have to come together as business owners to support each other and help, because it's a really unique problem that business owners have to deal with.
So is the business network the co-working space? Explain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just it's its own space, and so there's offices for lease. Thursday mornings we have a prayer meeting that we pray together for each other's businesses. We try to refer business to each other as much as we can. And we're just really doing everything we can to support other small business owners. And there's a weird economic climate that we're in right now that we're all trying to navigate together. And so a big part of being a successful business person is combating that isolation that comes from succeeding at a high level. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge that that's a problem and try to build relationships and friendships to help get through that.
Yeah, no, that's smart. And you were at the Magic Bus, you put that on, right?
Yes.
That you guys sponsored that event, right? I wasn't able to be there, but
yeah,
I heard it was
incredible. We had over 1,200 people
Wow.
there. This was our biggest event yet that we've the biggest Magic Bus concert. And it's funny because people ask me to speak on their podcasts and things like that about how great I am at throwing events. And it's like, I'm not that great. It's the Magic Bus. They have a huge following, and they're all from around here. Mm-hmm. They're from the Clarkston area. They are so much fun, so incredibly talented.
Yeah. So Amy Tower loves Magic Bus.
Yes.
So I've seen her talk about Magic Bus and attend Magic Bus.
Yeah.
So when you threw this, I was like, oh, and they really are amazing.
Yes.
But I don't feel like you're giving yourself enough credit.
Oh, thank you.
Because that event was very well run.
Oh, thank you.
Everything, including the shirts you could tie-dye, the whole thing. It was really well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. We had a really great event, and a huge part of it is my team. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I can't do everything.
Yeah.
And so Julia is my full-time assistant, and so she does all of our scheduling, ton of the communication with clients, and now we have 6 agents that work in the office together every day, and then we have another 10 that are not working full time, that are working from home every day. And so we just have this huge support system, and then obviously my husband and my parents and my in-laws are there too, and my in-laws are so wonderful. They're the greatest grandparents you could ever meet. They love taking the kids individually and spending time with them, and so that's a huge support. And so obviously my success is not me. It's this community that has supported me in every aspect of my life.
Can you talk a little bit about the real estate market right now and what you're seeing and what you see coming? Mm-hmm.
And so real estate it's in a weird place right now where it's mostly just people who need to move. And so the past 6 years or so, it's been people who wanted to move. Mm-hmm. They want to move because they want a bigger house. They want to move because they need a smaller house. Whatever it is, they wanted to move. Now we're in a little bit of a market where you have to move. Mm-hmm. I need to move because I can't afford it. I need to move because I got a divorce. I need to move because my work changed places, or so it's not as fun of a market as it has been in my 6-8 years that I've been doing it. That being said, this is an opportunity to create a ministry out of my business and counsel people who are struggling financially, coming alongside people who are having a difficult time in whatever aspect of their life. And so it's definitely different. Interest rates have hurt the market, obviously. It means that you can't afford as much house as you could have 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. That being said, I think that we're never going to have 2% interest rates back in my life. I don't think so. It's just not practical. And so I think we as a society are going to have to adjust to that, and that takes time. But that being said, 100,000 real estate agents have left the industry this year alone.
Wow.
And so what that means is while other places are closing their doors, we're not. Mm-hmm. We're growing. We're attracting people who have the same values that we do and the same work ethic. And our office is growing exponentially while other offices are closing their doors. And so we just have to, as a company, we have to be really careful to steward the money that we have wisely. We need to make sure that when we have clients, we're treating them the way that they deserve and going above and beyond. Yep. And our goal is to have 25% market share. So 1 in every 4 signs would be pink in Clarkston. That's our goal for this year. And so as we're continuing to grow, it's just, if you do good things for good people, they'll grow your business for you. And that's just what we're seeing.
So you said the pink signs. Let's get back to that. So how did this happen?
Yes. So I have always loved the color pink. It's always been my color. And so when I was in real estate for a couple of years, and when I first got my license, I thought, well, it's not that expensive to get your license, and if I've got 2 brothers, if they both buy a house from me, I'll be able to pay for my course, and I won't have to, I'll be able to pay for my class, and then if I hate it, I just won't do it ever again.
Right.
So there was no pressure on me at all. We didn't have any kids. I had a job, my husband had a job, and so I ended up selling my brother's houses, and then every transaction would turn into 2 more. And every time I would take on a client, they would love me, they would tell somebody about me. And so so that was happening when I worked for another company. And my broker at the time came to me, he's a dear friend of mine. He said to me, Jess, this doesn't make any sense. We had just adopted Cameron and Michaela. And we did this big long road trip all the way across the country. From here, we drove down through Chicago, all the way across the United States, all the way to Oregon, down to Texas. And we got to Texas the same day as Hurricane Harvey. Not ideal. Yeah. So we were supposed to go on a cruise, and we didn't get to go on the cruise. And so my broker called, and he said, Jess, do you have a minute to talk? And I was like, well, I have a week to talk because I'm not going on my trip.
Not doing anything, yeah.
And so, so what he said was, it doesn't make sense that you aren't the face of this company. He said, you're outselling me, and you are brand new. You need to start your own company, and you need to run it however you want. I always thought Spencer was a good name. Call it Spencer Real Estate.
Pretty
do
crazy.
Something.
Yeah.
And I'll close down my company, and then you can pay me what you paid me last year in your commission split.
So
to
he
be
just
your broker.
gave you his
does
business?
this?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's such a blessing. Such a blessing.
World? Okay.
And so he came and I started Spencer Real Estate. He's like, I know you really like pink. Make that your color. So Dan was like, just so incredible to me. And so I said, you know what? I'll talk to my husband about it. I'll pray about it, and I'll let you know. And I get off the phone, and we're all in a car because we're driving home from Texas. And I say to my husband, I say, Wing Wing, Dan thinks that I should start my own real estate company, but that would mean I have to leave the county. And so I was doing more transactions than the average realtor on my lunch hour and after work than people do a year full time. And so I said that would mean I would have to let go of the county. And so he said, well, I don't know how the girl who always says, dear God, if you'll just tell me what you want me to do, I'll do it. I don't think God could make it any more clear than he is that this is a good idea for you. And so he's like, you can pray about it, but I don't think you could say no to this. And so I was on family leave during that time for 6 weeks. And I got home, and I waited to tell my boss. I thought it would be polite to wait a little while before I told him, hey, thanks for the 6 weeks off to bond with the kids that I've had living with me for 3 years that I just adopted. I'm gonna quit now.
I'm out.
So that was, I want to say that was in October when we got home from that trip. And then, or maybe it was August. And then I let him know in October that I'd be leaving in January. And so I started the company in October of that year. And then in January, I left the county and went full time. And then we were able to just grow the company every single year since then.
And you just went all in with the pink, which is amazing.
All in with the pink, yep.
I have my own Jesica Spencer pink story.
Oh, you do?
So I went to my one and only school board meeting that I think I've already talked about a few times. But Jesica was actually there and spoke, and I thought what she said was amazing. I went home, I told my husband, and then I thought that would be the last time I would ever hear or see of her. Except for then, like the next day, I saw her over by Neiman's in her pink shoes that she wore the night before. which you don't see a lot of people wearing pink
You
shoes.
don't.
Yeah.
So then
the-
I was like, oh my gosh, you were so great.
And the Jesla, I'm sure you've seen.
Oh, yes.
We have to
Yeah,
hear
so
about
that-
that.
Tesla.
So that I made my goal, if I doubled my business in a year, I would buy myself a Tesla Model X.
Okay.
And so I worked really hard for a year to basically earn it. And then I ordered it, took a year to come in.
Oh my God,
But
really?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
I think 18 months. It took me
Wow.
way longer to get the Tesla than it did to get Wing Wing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny.
So I was, talking about this plan, and a good friend of mine says to me, "Oh, Jessica, tell me you're not going to make this new car pink." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I have to make it pink." It's like, "Oh my word, what have I done?" And so so now I drive a
Nice.
hot pink car.
Yeah.
There was like an online poll of what she should name the car.
Yes,
Oh, was there?
absolutely. Yes,
That's
they
so
were.
great.
It was. So I also had a client write a rap song about it. It was
Nah.
because that whole year I kept putting things like anytime I would close on a house. All right, now this was 1 of 50. Now this was 2 of 50, and so I really. That's really, I think, when I started sharing my goals with the internet, and really, I think people just came out of the woodwork to support me. I've never told anybody this story. I ended up being in, I think, November, and I was going to be one short of the 50 for the year, so I ended up buying a house.
No
my
way.
gosh,
Are you kidding me?
I bought a rental
Oh my
property so I
God.
could get to 50.
What's your goal
Hilarious.
now? It's Hawaii? Is that what I
So
saw?
Yeah,
we're going to renew our vows in 2025
Okay.
in Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So our goal now is 25% market share.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep,
wow.
in Clarkston.
That's
So-
amazing.
Which is really, honestly, no one's ever done that, and it's actually quite attainable for us. We're working really hard at it. We're being really deliberate about what we're doing. We have ordered new hot pink signposts that'll be coming soon.
Ooh, nice.
So even just the little things like that, like we do ice cream social open houses. So if your house is in a neighborhood, we'll do an ice cream social for your neighborhood at the time we're doing an open house. And it's little tiny things, and this is what I talk to my business coaching clients about. Like when you do an ice cream social, yes, you use styrofoam bowls that you throw away, but you use a metal spoon. This was something I came up with when we first started doing it. I use metal spoons so people have to stick around and talk to you because they can't leave with your metal spoon.
You have to give it back.
So they don't notice until they go to walk to the car.
Where do I put
Yeah.
this?
What do I do with this metal spoon? It's like little tiny things like that. It's just so that you can foster more relationship
Yeah.
with people and get them to stick around. Because once you know somebody, you like them,
Yeah.
generally speaking.
Generally, right. If there's someone out there that's thinking about selling their home, what are like the top 3 things? Yes, do this, or maybe there's top things you don't need to do.
Yeah.
Like, what's the
Yeah.
wisdom that you have
So
for them?
the first thing I always say is just call. Like the first step is just call me. And so the reason, I mean, obviously, but no, the reason for that is because
That 2 and 3, it's like location, location, location.
yes,
Just call
exactly
me.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, for all 3.
Yeah.
Well, because even if you're a year out, I can come into your house and say, okay, you should do this, don't do this. Don't worry about
Yeah.
doing that. It's not as bad as you think. You've been living in this house for 15 years and you have nitpicked it to high heaven. Just trust me, I walked through, I didn't notice that wall is one shade different than that wall because you had to repaint it. But we're really critical of ourselves. And I think we don't have enough information. You often don't know what equity you have. You don't know if it makes sense. And I always tell people, I'm your realtor for life. So if it's best for you to sell your house today, I'm going to do it. If it's best for you to sell your house in 5 years, then I'll help you then.
Right.
But so getting more information is more important.
Yeah.
And so I always say, just let me come through and tell you what projects you need to do and what you don't need to do. And then you have an idea what you actually can get for your house.
Yeah.
And then you can decide what is the best path for you.
Sure.
And I love talking to people, so
Yeah.
I don't mind coming and chatting on your couch for an hour.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it seems like sometimes there were these trends, right? Like everyone had subway tile in their kitchen. There are things like you must do this and that and the other thing to sell your house. But I feel like, is it a little more, I don't know,
every
open?
house is different. A lot of times I had a client who wanted to do like a roof, siding, and windows. And then I came into the house and I was like, well, that would be great if you did that. Are you planning to stay here for another 30 years?
Right.
Because if you're not, if like I noticed, forgive me for noticing, I noticed that you're using your dining room as your office and now that's also your living room. Might it be wiser to find a house that has enough room for all of your activities instead of doing all of these repairs? And so I always want to encourage people to ask for, before you do some kind of renovation, let me come through because it may be wise to do it, or it may be wise to find a house that already has all of those things, and then we can sell this house as it is. And a lot of people can move before they have to sell their house. So you can buy your new house without having to sell yours, get settled in the new one, and then we can sell your current house, which is really no pressure at all.
Right. Oh, that's ideal.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we only have a couple minutes left. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover?
Any upcoming events
Any
that
things you have going on
Yeah,
we should know about?
I'll give you the scoop.
Okay.
Oh, good.
We have,
Let's dish.
exactly. we have we have Halloween coming up soon,
And?
which we'll be doing a Barbie theme. I mean, we have a hot
of course.
I have no choice.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
That seems
I
right.
have no choice.
Yeah.
Is Ryan Gosling coming in for this?
Indeed, yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes. We have so we have different agents will be different.
Different
Kens and
characters.
Barbies,
Oh, that's
yes,
super
yes.
fun.
So,
That is really fun.
Any
Nice.
other questions for me?
We do have one final question that we
Yeah.
ask everybody that comes on. If you could recommend anybody else that you think would be good for us to have come in and talk with us.
Yeah, I love Madison Cecilia Dunn. She is really incredible. She is she helps women learn how to make money speaking publicly, which is something I absolutely love deeply doing, public speaking, and then also business leadership, which she's in that area too.
And she's a Clarkston grad
She
as well,
is,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Remember, I think we talked about her.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
so,
cool.
So that would be
your
my
person?
suggestion.
Good.
Okay.
So,
It's a good nomination.
I know, and she's new. Like
Yeah.
from as far as being a nominee, I always like to get new names
Yeah.
out there. So that's perfect. Well, thank you. Yeah, we really
thank
appreciate
you.
your time and your energy and learning all about your
stories.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you have good stories.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love to sit and chat. I love fellowship and meeting new people. And your son is my favorite
God.
person.
Well, it
on
cracks
the
me up
planet.
because like people
I
yell,
know.
Jesla. Like, do you get that a lot? People
So,
yelling.
It was so funny. I was getting my makeup done here in downtown Clarkston. That would be another person who would be Clarkston Makeup Studio.
Oh my gosh,
She
did
would
she
be
recommend
wonderful.
your eyeshadow? I love your eyeshadow. I was going to ask
thank
you at the end, what
It's,
is that?
It's called That's Taupe.
Okay.
And it's, I think I bought it at Ulta or something, but it's my
Oh, I
favorite.
love it.
I
Okay.
wear
That's
it
cute.
literally
Yeah.
every day. She was doing my makeup and we were sitting and there's like, I was totally unfazed by it, but there's like all this ruckus going outside.
Yeah.
She's like, what is going on? I said, oh, it's just somebody screaming about my car. And she's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, yeah. They said, oh my gosh, it's a Tesla and it's pink.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, does that just happen all the time? And I think I'm getting used to it, but yes, it happens all the time.
Well, I know
That's
like our
hilarious.
girls' bus would drive by.
Oh,
It was like
yeah.
a big thing
It's,
for all the kids on the bus.
yeah.
The 4th of July parade.
Yes.
I think Wing Wing was driving
Yes.
and like mobbed
Yes.
by. Like,
Yes,
Are you serious?
that was a little bit.
Oh,
I don't.
my God.
I don't know if you could see by my face.
I think I probably have video and pictures of it because I was like, what is
Like,
happening?
what is happening?
Yes, it was the young gentleman that jumped on the car that was a little.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
For my taste.
Oh, gosh.
But it was fine. Vinyl wraps are very good, even with little footprints. So, but I love the 4th of July parade. I love doing the Easter egg hunt. That is the only advertising we do is community events.
I did want to say, I mean, Clarkston has really benefited from your business, and you guys have done a ton in the community.
Thank you. We really, I mean, if there was more that we could do for the community, we would do it.
Yeah.
We really genuinely love our community, and I love being a person that people can go to when there's a need, and I hope that there will be just growth in that area of our business for sure, because
that's so good.
We love it. And Dave Gittens, one of my partners in real estate, one of my agents, he is that's what brought him over, is that love of community and wanting to be able to do more.
Very generous.
Well, and if people want to find out more, what's your website?
So it is spencersold.com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
well, we love all the community. I mean, that's what we're doing too, and why we're doing this, because we love our community.
And
it's amazing.
also love the pink heart in your logo.
Oh yeah, tiny pink heart.
That is true.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Jessica, it was really fun chatting with you.
This podcast is brought to you by Independence Television, located inside Clarkston High School. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Independence Television, Independence Township, or Clarkston Community Schools.